Robots joined. Sorry, not on mic. Hello everybody, I'm So Many Robots, joined by my good buddy Vic. This is Dota Battle Season 1, Week 4, DSD versus Happy Men. Vic, are you with me, buddy?
Radiance ban.
Alright, I'm not certain if we've got Vic in game just yet, but really quickly we're going to start taking a look at the hero pool. We can see decent variety in the heroes.
Dyer's ban.
Not certain what sort of bans are going to be coming out. Alright, looks like Vic's off to go deal with some technical issues real quick. We've got a Death Prophet ban coming up for Happy Men. So they clearly don't want to deal with that strong pushing power of the Death Prophet. Ever since that buff to her ult, she's really been a force to be reckoned with. See, not a whole lot of hard late game carries. We're not seeing, there's no Duza, no Spectre, no AM. We do have that Phantom Assassin, Lifestealer, PL, Wraith King. Hey Vic, are you with me, buddy?
Hi, I'm with you.
Excellent.
And I do not see the hero pool. I'm having some sort of glitch.
Radiance ban.
Yeah, I've noticed that. If you disconnect during draft, you're kind of screwed. So I was just commenting a little bit on stream. We don't have a whole ton of hard carries. We can see the Lifestealer ban coming out. There are a few agility carries in there. Shadow Fiend, PA, Templar Assassin. And there's the Naga ban out from Happy
Dyer's ban.
Do we have any picks yet? I can't even tell what phase we're on. I'm completely glitched out.
Now we're still in the ban phase, waiting on DSD's second ban.
What do you think it'll be?
I'm not certain. We can clearly see Happy Men's banned out, the Death Prophet and the Naga Siren. They're clearly afraid of that strong pushing power. DSD has dropped a Lifestealer ban so far, so I'm wondering if that second ban will be targeted at a hard carry, or if they'll maybe take a lead from Happy Men and try to ban out a split pusher, maybe the lone druid that's still in the pool there. And that's exactly what they do. DSD spends their second ban on that druid.
Dyer's pick.
That's interesting. Lone Druid actually, I think since basically TI3 has seen a lot less play.
Dyer's pick.
Yeah, his bear bounty kept rising higher and higher, and he eventually got run. Most pro teams concluded that he was only really viable as a solo safe lane with an aggressive tri-lane, which is just a very rare circumstance, and he's generally not picked in favor of somebody who will show the lanes a little bit more. But now we've got the picks coming out real quick. Can you see the picks, Vic? Or am I stuck talking about them all by my lonesome?
Dyer's pick.
I can see the last four. So I see the Clinks, Wraith King, Crystal Maiden, and Leshrac.
Alright, and prior to those for Vic's benefit, we had an Ember Spirit come out for Happy Men and a Disruptor for DSD. So very interesting picks so far.
10 seconds to go. Radiance pick.
You can see very greedy draft out from DSD so far, with the Clinks and Wraith King, both heroes who require a lot of farm, and then a Jungle Enigma, which is also very farm hungry and can really result in pretty passive lanes early on.
Hi, sorry, my internet cut out a little bit right there. So I do see we have an Enigma pick. That's a huge team fight.
Yeah, a lot of team fight coming from that Enigma, but more importantly to my mind, Enigma usually makes for some pretty passive lanes. You're stuck with that jungler and it's a very greedy pick, and if your lanes get pressured it can really fall apart on you fast. And there's the Necrophos up for Happy Men.
Radiance pick.
Yeah, Necrophos is a great lane sustain hero. Shadow Fiend, known as a lane dom.
Alright, so we can see the players picking their heroes. I'm curious if that's going to be an offlane Clinks we're going to see, because there's not really a strong offlaner on DSD's lineup right now.
I think it could be offlane Clinks. The problem is if the offlane Clinks go Crystal Maiden and and a Leshrac, then that's just an instant kill anytime they see him.
Yeah, it's really dangerous
so
sending.
This could be very
Really dangerous sending a hero that squishy up against two supports who can really control. I really like the Crystal Maiden Leshrac combo with a good setup for the Split Earth. Alright, and now we're in game. Let's take a look. For all of those who are joining us just now, once again, this is Dota Battle Season 1, Week 4. I'm So Many Robots, joined by Vic. Before we get into the game, real quick, Vic, do you want to go over DSD's lineup on the Dire for me?
Sure thing. You have to remind me who's the captain. I think it's 343.
That's correct.
Yeah, 343 is going to be our captain, playing the TA solo mid. We have Will I'm Not on the bottom lane, Clinks. This is going to be an off lane Clinks. And we have Dux on Disruptor as one of our only supports on the team. Then we have Diebear on Enigma, who's going to be in the jungle farming up. And last but not least, we have Cromwell playing the hard lane, or the easy lane hard carry, Wraith King.
30 seconds to go.
Alright, switching over to the Radiant side, Team Happy Men, we've got BZ Chaos on the Crystal Maiden, Catterday Yet on the Leshrac, Fappy on our Necrophos, which looks to be an aggressive tri-lane coming out from that Necrophos, Crystal Maiden, Leshrac. Very interesting choice. JT on our mid lane, Ember Spirit, and Jack, the team captain, on the solo safe lane, Shadow Fiend. See a bit of an engagement going on at the top. Ruin Duck's getting very, very low. I don't think... No, Fappy's not going to be able to get that last hit, but Radiant gets their ward down and gets control of that haste rune at minute 0.
Yeah, and that was amazingly lucky from the Disruptor. He escaped with 40 life points. I mean, that is really, really, really lucky, in my opinion. I think he should have been dead there for sure.
I'm curious how this aggressive tri-lane is going to work out. Solo safe lane Shadow Fiend, I feel like you could come under a lot of pressure from that Clinks with the Searing Arrow spam.
I think that could be the case, but Shadow Fiend also has ridiculous harass abilities. So as long as the Clinks is not invisible, I actually give a little edge to Shadow Fiend. Also, Shadow Fiend has a really good ability to just hop in jungle and flash farm. So look to see like some stacking and pulling coming out, and seeing if that Shadow Fiend maybe even goes like a Helm of the Dominator early to just keeps in lane and farm the jungle. I don't know.
Alright, I want to draw your attention over to this top lane where I had been assuming that we were going to be seeing a farming Necrophos, but I recall from an earlier game with Happy Men that they actually, I think it was Happy Men who chose to run the support Necrophos, and we can see Fappy bought up a smoke, so he might be playing that support Necrophos again.
It looks like he's going for the last hits in this lane, but Leshrac is the only one who has them.
Yeah, it
really
looks
interesting.
It looks to me like they might be trying to farm up Catterday. He's already got boots and a gauntlet of strength, so we'll see what he builds that into.
And if the Ember Spirit mid actually looks like he's having a little bit of trouble against the TA. All that spam from the Psionic Blades really doing some damage to him. He's one of the squishiest heroes on the map right now, and I think he will be one of the squishiest heroes on the map until he gets a couple of items.
Yeah, Ember Spirit really has the problem that with his low stats, he's really susceptible to physical harass in lane, which TA can dish out in spades.
Yeah, TA is really great for that creative harass. You don't really see it coming, and it's hard to stay out of range of it, just because it's bouncing off of people, you know? And 343 will secure the illusion rune top. Not the best rune, but still pretty useful. Can be used to scout, can be used to harass more, can be used to take tower aggro in case he wants to dive.
We can see a little bit of a skirmish going on up top, just some nukes getting thrown out back and forth. Cromwell is really not at all able to farm here. He's got 5 last hits, but that's almost entirely from that first couple of waves before the Necrophos was in lane, and we can see he and Dux are really getting pressured back to their tower almost the entire time.
Yeah, and Cromwell's also just completely out of mana. Skeleton King has really expensive, like not really expensive spells, but relatively expensive spells and no mana pool. So he's probably used his Hellfire or Wraithfire Blast twice already, and they haven't gotten kills from it. It's really one of those spells you want to save until you can guarantee you can get the kill with it. So I think that means advantage goes to the Radiant in this top lane.
And we can see over on bottom lane, Jack retreating back to his tower to salve up after going very low to Clinks' Searing Arrows. But at this point, Clinks is down to 2 tangos, Shadow Fiend is out of regen, and so far they've been last hitting pretty much equal. Jack's been spamming out raises to get his souls up to boost that farming. We can see flipping over to top lane. I thought for a second that Happy Man was starting to pressure the tower already, but it looks like they're just backing off, and Diebear comes into lane on that Enigma to see what he can make happen. He's level 4, he's got level 2 Malefice.
Yeah, I'm curious as to what he's doing right now, because he's not pushing, he's not really ganking. If you saw him ganking, he'd come in from the side, I think, and just try to cut off a path of escape. And if he was pushing, he probably should have converted that catapult.
No use crying over spilled blood.
We can see. Oh, and I flipped away the second Wraith King went down, so shame on me for missing first blood. We do see 343 picks up an Invis rune in mid, so he's definitely got total rune control against this Ember Spirit.
Yeah, and up top it was the combo I thought it would be. It's just the Frostbite into Split Earth, and then Necro stays there, heals, and does damage with Death Pulse. It's way too much for a hero to deal with alone, and right now they're going to smoke gank in jungle for the Enigma. It looks like they're going to get it too. Diebear is completely...
Yeah, Frostbite comes out, immediately followed by the Split Earth, and they surround him, blow all their nukes, and Diebear is totally going down here to the Diabolic Edict. But Necrophos actually gets the last hit.
Yeah, and because of the Crystal Maiden aura, and I think just smart mana use, and the heroes themselves, they still have mana for spells.
We can see they're not done yet. Catterday and BZ Chaos are moving into mid to try to do something about that Templar Assassin.
Oh, without detection, I don't think they can get this.
They come in, Frostbite lands, immediate refraction, Split Earth, Diabolic Edict. Oh, and she pops the Invis rune. Running away, and she will get away, it looks like.
Wow, that was very close to an amazing play by Catterday.
Oh, go over to bottom lane where we've got Clinks manning up on the Shadow Fiend, and Shadow Fiend goes down after a nice strafe from Will I'm Not.
Wow, 60 health left. But I think the Shadow Fiend will catch up and farm a lot faster than the Clinks will. And we already see the Shadow Fiend has 6 last hits and 5 denies over the Clinks. So even though the Clinks might be able to get a kill here or there, Shadow Fiend is definitely going to get a lot more out of this lane. And if it goes late game, I think Shadow Fiend will have an advantage. Oh. Ember Spirit's being chased to rune.
Going over to bottom river, it looks like JT is finally going to make it to a rune for once, but he doesn't even have his bottle on him, and 343 immediately knocks off that regen rune.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. He's also stuck for a while. No, he can get out through the creep camp, I think. Yeah, I don't know why he was waiting so long.
I think he was just hoping to lose the aggro from the mud golems and not gain it again, but he's probably looks like he's going to have to go all the way back to Fountain for this one. Oh, he gets his bottle off courier, he'll be fine.
Yeah, I guess I would consider going to camp. Going to Fountain, or he should be bottle growing right now. Rune just spawned.
And we can see DSD now has rotated the Clinks up to solo the safe lane and sent Cromwell and Dux down to bottom, where they can apply a little bit more pressure to the Shadow Fiend, and Clinks can hopefully get any farm at all off of this top lane. But we can see the tri-lane's gone hunting for Enigma in the jungle again. Didn't bother with the smoke this time. Crystal Nova lands, Split Earth not on the mark. Frostbite comes in, still lots of damage coming out from that Diabolic Edict. Just with those boots early on Catterday, he can dish out so much damage with 3 points up in Edict by now.
Yeah, it's not even that. Fappy also has just ridiculous damage through the Death Pulse, and you don't really expect it because it travels so slowly.
We can see
you saw right there, Enigma looks safe. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, 343 is hugging his tower now as the tri-lane rotates into mid, but it looks like they might set up to push this tower, or will I'm not, stalking Fappy as Fappy heads back towards top lane, but thinks better of it and just heads back.
Yeah, looks like they're rotating the lanes. DSD wants to get this Clinks active and on the map, which I don't know if is the best idea, because Clinks without any items might not be the most useful hero. He can do good damage, but he can't do anything else. He has no slows, no stuns, nothing.
Yeah, he does have that Ring of Aquila up, which is a nice pickup on Clinks, and nice given that he didn't get the privileged safe lane farm that you usually see on a Clinks. But certainly nowhere near an Orchid, only has brown boots, no treads.
Yeah, what I would have liked instead of this kind of roaming Clinks right now would be if they just rotated him to the top lane and had him farm up his Orchid.
Could use a hand.
You can see fast Blink Dagger coming out for the TA, 8-minute Blink Dagger for her, and Clinks meanwhile is heading back up to top lane where he is going to get aggressive on Fappy, pops the strafe, throws out some arrows, but it's nowhere near enough, and Fappy just walks back to safety. Meanwhile over on bottom, looks like I missed 2 kills as Ember Spirit rotated down to join the tri-lane on bottom, and now they're pressuring the tower with that. Is that max level yet? It is still only 3 points up in the Diabolic Edict.
Yeah, and he didn't have a creep wave, which really killed the push. But they did have a creep wave when they dived, so led to some really great kills for the Radiant.
See, TA sends down. Cromwell gets frostbitten, eating a lot of damage, goes down. Split Earth, nice Split Earth, catches both of them, stops the TA. Dux wanders in to help out, but there's still not enough support. We see a TP from Enigma, Diabolic Edict sitting on the tower, and it goes down. Nice job getting the deny by 343 on the Templar Assassin.
Yeah, it looks like the team right now, my initial impression is that the DSD, the Dire team, isn't ready for this Ember Spirit. I'm not sure if they know the range of all of his spells and how ridiculous his harass is going to be once they reach the mid and late game if they're already getting hit by the Searing Chains and ultimate combo.
Yeah, JT had a very hard time in lane. We can see Templar Assassin sitting at over twice as many last hits as the Ember Spirit. But the team's other lanes really did quite a nice job, and he's contributing a lot of damage in these early skirmishes, as we can see.
Yeah, at the beginning of the game, he's really a utility hero.
Over on top lane, Frostbite comes out on Willem Knot, eats a lot of damage. He's going to take the Death Pulse, and he's going to go down, and the Death Pulse gets the kill.
Top tower's getting beat down.
Upon you.
It truly is a grotesque ability. It makes you think you're alive for so long and then you just get hit with 2 of those while trying to phase boot away. Death Pulse is ridiculous.
We can see it looks like, I think we're gonna yep, there comes the Diabolic Edict. Radiant's gonna try to force down this tier 1 tower for Dire. Cromwell and Dibear are in the vicinity, but it doesn't look like they're even gonna try to challenge this.
Top tower's getting beat down.
They're considering it with Black Hole up, but I don't think they should. I think they're making the right call and not contesting. Dibear does want to use this Black Hole though. The second you get level 6, you want to use it, especially if the other team doesn't know you have it yet. If they're not checking scoreboard, or if you haven't used it, they might not be expecting it.
And we can see Willem not stalking Fappy again up here, hoping to make something happen, but Dire doesn't know that Ember Spirit's rotated in to join too. And Willem not could find himself in trouble if he wanders too close to these Radiant sentries. Oh, and he gets spotted. The Crystal Nova scares him off. Doesn't look like we have any more vision up on any of the Radiant heroes, just those sentry wards back in lane, so Willem not is going to wander away to safety.
Radiant's mid tower.
In bottom lane, the TA almost chased the Shadow Fiend almost completely out of lane, but the Shadow Fiend's surprisingly tanky. He has his Helm of the Dominator, kind of like I predicted, and I think his plan is to just sit in lane and not participate in these big fights like what's about to happen top.
And we can see more skirmishes up top. Eidolon's doing some damage out on Fappy. Willem not still hanging around. We've got Dux rotated in, so we got 4-on-4 up in this top jungle, and Radiant's just going to back out, make a retreat back for their side of the map. Meanwhile, we see DSD, Jack has gone all the way to the top, to the tier 2, and DSD 343 opens up on him. Big meld strike, big hits coming out. He's still got that blink dagger, hasn't used it. There's the blink, comes out, meld hit, one more, and Jack goes down.
Happening to Dire's bottom tower.
Yeah, Jack definitely overextended there. The TA didn't really show herself anywhere else, and they don't have rune wards.
Tower could use a little help.
So that was an extremely dangerous play to just push the T2 while the TA is off the map.
We see Happy Men taking down that tier 1 mid. Dire might be able to get the deny. The tower's in range. 343. Fappy's still going to work on it. Oh, huge meld strike comes out on Fappy. Goes down immediately to Willem not on the clinks. Templar does get the deny. Willem not goes down to the Flame Guard of the Ember Spirit. Frostbite comes out. Diabolic Deed doing a lot of damage. Down goes the Templar Assassin.
Out with you and your spark.
Whew, a lot of action
Yeah,
this
I
game.
think what we're seeing is that the Radiant team and the Dire team both have really relevant. They have like good abilities and they know how to play them, but the Dire team isn't able to make a nice, clean like team fight engagement, which is what they want. They have big AOE's like Static Storm from the Disruptor and Enigma's Black Hole, obviously. So what Radiant is doing is they're just splitting up. They're taking advantage of the range and the split push ability that they have to win these fights. And it's really awesome to see them not group up and just try to 5-man deathball the other team when they know they're going to lose that fight.
Oh, when Will I'm Not gets caught out in mid while the Sentry Ward is down, cleaned up with the Reaper Scythe. Cromwell's going to wander away, but he's going to make it. I want to take a second.
Yeah, they just popped everything.
I want to take a second briefly to talk about Diebear on this Enigma. We saw at the very start of the game he bought a Soul Ring recipe first, and now he's got a Bazzy up, but still no boots. I'm really wondering if the bootsless Enigma is the right call here, given that he hasn't managed to get in range for a single black hole yet, and there he finally buys up his brown boots at 14 minutes.
Yeah, I don't want to sound like a critic, but I think his play was pretty inefficient. He wasn't farming in jungle and he went for gank attempts that didn't happen.
Oh, and here he's hidden in the trees while BZ Chaos gets out of position. JT jumps into the fight, eats a huge meld strike, a lot of damage. Static Storm comes down, silencing out the Radiant. Black Hole comes, catches 2, but a lot of damage still coming out from the Radiant. That Necrophos doing a lot of work.
3 down.
3-4-3, chasing down Fappy, trying to get the kill, but the Diabolic Edict and the Radiant team gets a team wipe, bringing down the entire Dire just for the cost of the Crystal Maiden and the Ember Spirit.
Radiant's mid tower's getting banged up.
Yeah, what we saw right there was an example of what I think I was talking about earlier. The Radiant team was just a little bit too split up and a little bit too mobile for the Dire team to get clean ultimates off. They weren't able to get a 5-man Static Storm. They weren't able to contain everybody within one kinetic field or one black hole. And that's going to be the downfall of their team. And I think it is the downfall right now.
Yeah, Diebear eventually got off a pretty nice black hole in that fight, caught 2, but he didn't catch the Necrophos, who continued to spam out death pulses from the back of the fight, doing a ton of damage and a ton of healing.
Yeah, exactly. And every single hero on the Radiant team has a really long range. So this whole strategy of just kiting is going to be really effective against heroes like Enigma that have to get right up close to you when they don't have a Blink Dagger.
Yeah, I think Diebear's idea by holding off on the boots was to try to rush up to a Blink Dagger. I'm curious now if he's going to go for a Blink or just finish up his boots as soon as he gets the gold for it. And we can see over on bottom lane, Well I'm Not on the Clinks gets caught out in the river, chased down, lots of Diabolic Edict damage coming out. And is he going to go down? He's very, very low, down to 72, and looks like he's going to make it away.
Do they have sight for him? They still haven't bought any true sight. Oh, they had the Sentry, which gave them sight.
Yeah,
Happy Man buying much true sight.
Happy Man has a big enough lead that I would actually love to see an early gem coming out from them.
Definitely, and especially against heroes like TA, who will sometimes just go invisible for, you know, like 10 seconds just to try to get away with being in a more aggressive position. A gem would just completely neutralize her hiding abilities.
Bottom tower.
It looks like the Radiant team does take the last T2 bottom, so look to see a Roche attempt or high ground sometime in the next 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah, the kill difference is pretty stark, 15-5, and here Radiant's going in for Rosh, but the tower difference is huge. Radiant now has all of Dire's outer towers, and Dire has yet to take a single one of Radiant's. We can see Arcane Boots up on Enigma and BKB out on Shadow Fiend, which is really the big item. That's what he needs to fight, and that's what he needs to dish out all of his damage.
I wouldn't necessarily agree with that if you look at the abilities from Radiant as the fight happens.
Oh, Static Storm comes out. Huge Static Storm catches out all of the Radiant, but there's not enough Dire there to do the damage. TA and Enigma go down. Disruptor goes down on the backside. Wraith King wanders in at the end to try to get what he can. Brings down the Shadow Fiend, but Clinks goes down. Freezing Field comes out. Flame Guard chases down the Wraith King. He's gonna res up, but he's the only one left. Immediately got Split Earth, Searing Chains, tons of damage coming out. And there, that's another team wipe.
Rancid death.
Yeah, it was disastrous, honestly.
Pretty sight right
That
now.
might have been GG right there. It was just the advantage going into that fight was gigantic, and then the fact that they just walked
Radiant's
into a
bottom
team
tower
like
seen better
Roche
days.
really does seal the deal here. They're about 13,000 gold behind, 14,000. And those kinds of gold gaps don't really get closed unless something spectacular happens.
Roche is gone.
Yeah, and we can see now that Aegis is going to Radiant. Who's going to pick it up? Is it actually... It looks like they're just guarding it while the Shadow Fiend makes his way over, which is a risky move against a Clinks, but they do have that sentry. Oh, and
Yeah,
Will
he's
I'm Not
moving pretty quickly.
runs right past it and gets blown up.
Your elements purge.
Yeah, definitely. So going back to item choices, while I think the game is slowing down, I don't actually think BKB is that huge for this Shadow Fiend. A lot of the Dire abilities just go right through it. A lot of their abilities focus on negative armor or physical damage.
Yeah, the big thing that the BKB gives him here is the ability to completely ignore that Disruptor, and while so far, with only that last team fight have we really seen a huge presence from the Disruptor, there's always that potential for a big glimpse or a big kinetic field to really keep the Shadow Fiend from doing what he needs to do.
Yeah, in a normal situation, I think that would definitely be a priority. I just think with this lead, the only priority at this point is just to not get caught in a static storm and a black hole. So as we saw in the last Roche fight, a static storm on 5 heroes just doesn't touch them. The experience difference is too high. This Disruptor's level 8, 20 minutes into the game.
And we can see a desperation move from Dire. DSD smokes up as 5 and wraps around in the mid lane where it's going to be a 5-on-3 it looks like.
Dire's mid tower
3-4-3 walks straight into Chaos, gets frostbitten up. Will I'm Not pops the strafe, throwing out a ton of arrows. Nice kinetic field comes down, catches 2. BKB comes out from Jack, throws out huge Requiem, blows up 2. Will I'm Not goes down to the Diabolic Edict. Catterday and Jack combine to bring down the Wraith King. 3-4-3 is the only one left. Jack is chasing him out, but he doesn't have enough speed, and 3-4-3 is going to blink to safety.
That was a beautiful Requiem of Souls.
Yeah, and I think
Dire's
that's going to be a tier 3 and maybe Rax too. Dire's going to be up again soon, but Radiant can dish out a lot of damage to these towers.
Yeah, I don't think there's any chance Dire has to come back into this game unless Radiant starts mountain diving, like a lot. So, here's the GG call from 3-4-3.
Oh, and Black Hole comes out from Dibear just for a last gasp after the GG. Catches 3 and then immediately goes down.
Done it. How about that?
Ooh, short and sweet.
So-
21-minute game. Vic, do you have any last thoughts on that before we go out, find the lobby, and head into game 2?
I don't know if it's cutting out, but I think what we saw there was really, really good mid-game decisions, and especially positioning against an Enigma. And a couple of key mistakes from the Dire team let them lose a lot of gold and a lot of experience in the early game, which made those first items come that much slower for everyone but the TA. So, next game, I think what we should be looking at is to see if the positioning gets any better from the Dire team, DSD right now, and if they can take better advantage of the abilities they draft. 'Cause this game we didn't see that.
Yeah, for me, I'm really thinking I'm still not a fan of that Enigma pick. I really would have liked to see DSD go for something less greedy, because Happy Man really made the right choice in running that aggressive tri-lane to punish the greedy lanes coming out from DSD, and really had a big lead from the laning phase on. Alright, Vic has DC'd, and I'm going to do the same. Thanks for bearing with us, listeners, and we're going to find a lobby, find our second game, and get into it as quick as we can.